That's where the fluid is supposed... Oh. It straight up died. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, it doesn't run at all anymore. Lovely. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Auto Auction Rebuilds. Today we're back with my super cheap $9,000 Mercedes SL600, the bi-turbo V12 that has a slew of problems. So this is it, my $9,000 2004 Mercedes SL600 with a slew of problems because there's no such thing as a cheap European car. This is a 500 horsepower, 600 foot-pounds of torque, bi-turbo 5.5 liter V12 in a roadster, hardtop convertible, except the convertible doesn't work. But I think I know what's wrong with it. We're going to try to fix that here in just a minute. Next, the big thing, I think, and I'm almost scared to say it because I don't want to speak it into existence, but I fear that this may already be the case. I think we've got an entire bank of cylinders down. Yep, I ran a diagnostic on it, and I ended up with cylinders 1 through 6, which is this side of the engine, dead. That's a big problem. That's a big problem because it could be one of two things typically. It's either going to be, you can barely see it right here. This is your coil driver, your coil control module, basically, and it's cut in half. Half of it runs one side of the engine, and half of it runs the other side of the engine. Well, it is 100% possible. This is a very high failure point that it died, and it has killed an entire bank of coils. Now, here's the great thing, guys. The other thing it could be is the coil pack itself. And I know you're thinking, that's not a big deal. It's easy to change a coil pack. They don't cost a lot of money. You couldn't be further from the truth. And I'm going to show you why right now. Some of my OG followers, you guys remember this? I want to get up there and I can't reach it, but I want to get this off. Let's drag a chair over here. Let me pull this thing off the wall because I believe, even though this came off of my, I think it was a 2000 S600 that was not turbo, it was naturally aspirated, I'm pretty sure the coil packs are identical. Now, if you remember my videos on the S600, it's that car blew up my channel. The S600 blew up my channel. And it was all because one of my subscribers dared me to buy the car. It was a non-runner from Insurance Auto Auctions in Tulsa. They said, I dare you to buy this car. And I was like, oh, what the hell? Let's try it. Well, this coil pack set me back $600 for a used one. A used unit is $600. Thankfully, the used unit functioned. I got it off eBay Motors. The problem with this coil pack is this crack right here. That crack. I was not aware it was there, and I pressure washed the engine of my Mercedes S600. And when I did that, water obviously got into that crack and killed it. Now, it's fully possible that this coil works. It's had a lot of time to dry out, about, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years at this point. But being that it's the same coil, if you sit it up here, take a look. See the bolt hole right here? Same bolt hole right there. Label right there? Same label right there as well. Yeah? This coil, technically, hypothetically anyway, should work on this car. So here's what I'm thinking. If I'm going to clear all the codes, we're going to put the batteries back on because the car's been completely disconnected while I've been charging the batteries. If we get codes for cylinders 1 through 6 again, this just so happens to be the exact coil on the exact side. They have to come from the left and right sides. You can't interchange them. But this coil, even though it did have a cylinder or two that was dead on it, if it's the coil pack that failed on this, this will bring back most of the cylinders. If it does not, and this coil pack is 100% dead as well, then we know it's probably the coil driver. So I disconnected both batteries from the car. Remember, we found that the battery back there, which controls all of the electronics, this battery starts the car. That battery back there, the negative terminal was just barely hanging on it. That's why we kept getting error codes. That's why it's important. I wanted to make sure the batteries are fully charged. We'll plug them both back in, clear all the codes. I'm going to take this thing on probably a 25, 30 mile drive. We'll see what codes come back, and then we can start addressing things after we run the new set of codes. This battery is charged, so we can turn this off and unhook this. Like I said, it is disconnected. It's hard to see, but there's no terminal on the negative side there. We'll go ahead and unplug this. And at the same time, got my Tornado 4000. As you can see, battery is fully charged. That's good, because if the battery's bad, it will generally fail. Next thing we want to do, after we disconnect this, of course, is test both batteries with my battery tester, just to double check and verify that both batteries are fully functional, because if you have one of these two batteries that's not in good shape, the car is not going to run or operate correctly. And that is where this little tool comes in handy. In fact, I'll put a link to it down below. Super easy way to find out if your battery's any good. I'm going to do out of vehicle. I believe it's a regular. CCA on this one is 480. It's a Mercedes battery from 2019. And it says good battery, measured at 553 CCA. Now let's move on to the back one. Now we're in the back battery. It's almost 13 volts. I know the screen's blurry. Forgive me. And it's a regular. CCA on this one is 760. That's odd. Let's crank that up to 760. 760 and test. Please, please, please be good. Good battery. Wow, measured 913. Boy, those interstate batteries don't screw around, do they? That battery is way better than what it's supposed to be. All right, the batteries are hooked up, but we have one other thing to do while we're back here before we button everything up. And that is check the hydraulic fluid on the convertible top pump. Well, would you look at that? It is below the low mark. So on this, it's CHF 11S. That's the hydraulic fluid these Mercedes use for everything. And when the top is closed, it's very important. When the top is closed, you should have fluid to the top arrow. Well, that's obviously way below where it's supposed to be. And because of that, as soon as it starts opening things up, it will run out of fluid and it won't be able to complete the convertible top opening operation. So to fill it up, I do believe this is a 13. It is. We'll just take this out very carefully, since this is all made of plastic. Hopefully it comes out. There we go. All right. The fill hole is teeny tiny. That's what you've got to fill the fluid with. So we're going to sit this up here. We're going to take our CHF 11S. We've got to figure out a way of pouring it into here and getting that level back to full. So I made this little contraption. I took this from one of those Lucas, I don't know, transmission stop slip bottles. I cleaned it up. It is stained, but don't worry, none of that's going to get in there. I cut the tip to where it's a little bit wider to pour a little bit faster, and hopefully it just, bingo, slides right in there. Now, it may still make a little bit of a mess, so I'll probably go get a little rag, and I'll lay it down around here so we can soak up anything I might spill. All right. I still feel like I'm going to spill some of this, but I'm going to do my best not to. There we go. I did spill a little bit. We'll keep doing this until it's full. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm making a mess. Great. All right, I put you guys at a pretty good angle. Looks like it's full to me. So I'm going to call that good. This cover just kind of flops right over it. I don't know. I guess it's just to help reduce some of the noise of the pump. Now, there are a lot of hydraulic lines down here, and I've already been looking at all of them that I can see, and I don't see anything leaking. That's not to say there's not a leak, but currently it looks like it's okay. So we're going to put this back together. We're going to give it a first start, and we're going to see how it's running with cleared codes and fresh batteries, and then we're going to try out the convertible top. All right, we're going to take a quick look. Everything in there looks clear and clean. I don't see anything that's going to cause a problem. Everything down there is hooked up, and these are where they're supposed to be. So we should be able to close this trunk lid and reveal the moment of truth. All right, I've cleared all the codes. One of the things that I looked at without you guys was the ABC control, and it said the right rear plunger, the level plunger, was not reading correctly. So I think we have to start it. We'll get that first start up which is always really nice from this V12. Oh yeah. There we go. ABC pressure is at 2,700 PSI, and it should start calibrating all of the wheels, hopefully getting everything back into the right position where it should be. And we'll cross our fingers that it works. It probably wouldn't hurt also to check the level of the ABC fluid. All right, real quick, we're gonna have it do the rodeo. There it goes. She's dancing, guys. Hopefully this will, ooh, that's squeaking though, right? There it is. I love that you can make these cars do this. Super cool. We'll let it do this for just a few minutes, and then we'll check the ABC fluid level. Let's check the fluid with the engine running. The fluid should be on the low side. There are two sides to the dipstick. We'll pull it out. One side says motor AN, the other says motor AUS. AUS is where you check it if the engine is off, and motor AN is where you check it if the engine is running. And you can see there's a little divot right there in the center. That's where the fluid is supposed... Oh. It straight up died. Uh-oh. Oh, she's gonna be a problem. This car is gonna be a problem. I was really hoping it was all from the dead battery. Oh no. Oh, it doesn't run at all anymore. Lovely. Well, I'm here to tell you, it doesn't run. I can smell raw fuel coming out the exhaust. I can hear the fuel pump, and she doesn't do anything. Nothing. Well, if I ever wanted content, I guess I got it. I guess we need to flip the dipstick over to motor off now. I still want to check the fluid level. And as you can see, she is very low because the mark on the other side is up here. The fluid is down there. So even though it's dead as a doornail now, I'm going to go ahead and fill the fluid up to proper level. We'll see if we can't get it running again. All right. I've used up all of the Pentacin that I have, so hopefully it's... Well, it's close. It's right there. I'm going to call that good enough. Considering it doesn't run, I don't think it really makes a big difference right now, does it? I'm going to go back in it, crank it, see if I can get it to fire up. If not, we'll have to get the code reader on it and... There you are. Oh. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know why it did that, but that was scary. I guess the next thing I want to do is I want to try out the convertible top. Let's see if it does anything now that I've filled the container up with fluid. Hold on. Windows are going down. And it's going to die out. Yep. Even full of fluid. Something's gone out on it. Well, I've been messing with it for a little while. It hasn't died again. It seems to be running a lot better. I did a balance test on it, and I did a misfire counter on it as well. And I've noticed I keep getting cylinder 8 misfiring. 1 through 4 is on the passenger side. 5 through 12, or sorry, 1 through 6 is on the passenger side. 7 through 12 is on the driver's side. So here you can hear it misfire there. Okay, intermittent misfiring going on. So it could just be something as simple as the spark plugs need to be replaced. I wouldn't bet on it, but it could be. Here's the current code that I've got, a P2033 comparison of the pressure between the components B28/6 pressure sensor upstream of the throttle valve, B28/7 pressure sensor downstream of the throttle valve, and ambient pressure sensor in the control module N3/10 motor electronics control module. The ambient pressure is measured by a pressure sensor in the control module. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, if pressures are not the same, if they're not reading the same on each side of the engine, there could be a mismatch here, and the computer is trying to compensate for more pressure on this side, less pressure on another side. This could be, who knows what it could be. This could be a turbo issue. I have no idea. I'm not going to stress too much over it right now. We're going to move on over to the chassis. Sorry, that's, yeah, oh, yes, chassis, suspension. We had a code come up that I want to document this so that I can have it for myself, but we're going to read the codes, and it should come up with the right rear level plunger. No fault codes detected. Oh, that figures. Well, anyway, the right rear plunger apparently level is not right. And then we have another code. This one's going to be for, is it body? Maybe? Oh, Lord. Okay, I found it. This is under the body control module for the Vario roof. We have a B1265-002, which is S127/1 right side flap closed/opened limit switch. The limit switch folded in remains in the switched status. Contact is stuck, or it has a short circuit to ground. So we're going to need to look up the B1265-002, because I assume if we fix this is the only code for the Vario roof, then the roof will work. I also ran a Carfax where this thing has been taken very good care of. This ABS pump, which is notorious for going out and ridiculously expensive, was very recently replaced on this car. So that's good news. You hear it? You hear this? And listen to this. Here's that noise. And then it went away. I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but it sounds like spark randomly escaping on this side. Probably going to be a good idea to check all of the charge pipes, to check all of the clamps, make sure all the clamps are tightened up and that the plumbing is all connected like it's supposed to, nothing's broken, because that would definitely cause a problem as well. A little bit of good news in today's video. I found this switch on the floor, and guess what? Look. We can now roll the window down. Hopefully this one, you push it a second time, this one goes down. Yeah, look at that. Oh, come on. There we go. And then a second time should bring this one up as well. There you go. We have working windows now. Wonder if that would, no, that wouldn't have any effect on the roof, would it? I'm gonna try it just because maybe. Monkey Wrench Mike said he thought the windows had to be down, but I think it's fine. Let's try it out. This window's down. This window's down. All right, let's hop in. Let's try to it's doing things. And she died. Yep, that's it. You push it down. Whoa, hey. That about took my freaking arm off, man. All right, roof is closed. Got a couple side marker lights out, worth replacing then just to get the annoying dash to stop going crazy on me. All right, there's only one thing left for me to do, guys. I'm gonna take this thing out. Up, there we go. I'm gonna take her out. I'm gonna drive her around. We're gonna see what codes we can get to come back. When I get back here, we'll run another diagnostic on it, and we'll see what she's complaining about this time. All right, I'm back. I drove it over 40 miles, and oh man, it was a bit of an experience. The active body control has decided this is the position it wants to stay in. Full lift all the way up. Even in sport mode, doesn't matter, all the way up. You get all the lift, which makes it, well, number one, makes it look pretty stupid, makes it bouncy as hell. It's not pleasant. Next, I hit something in the road with my front tire. I tried to avoid it, couldn't. I hit a piece of metal, it came up, and it took the paint right off the door here. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. You know, it is what it is. It's an older car, so I'm not going to be too upset about it. A little paint pinch should fix it up. I've got the diagnostics running on it to see what new codes we have, because I promise you we've got some new ones. And I did some research and I found out this can't be like this. This has to be like this. There's supposed to be a preload on it, okay? It's actually not supposed to be just tight, but there's actually supposed to be a tad bit of a load on it, because down here is a micro switch. You see, this whole thing is like a butterfly. There's a switch right here, a micro switch, and there's the connector for it. Well, if it's loose, the micro switch stays open all the time. Well, to fix this, you simply adjust the nuts. At least, that's what I saw on YouTube. We'll see how accurate that is. Let's loosen these up and let's adjust it. All right, so this top one right here, this is your lock nut. Once you get it backed off, and that top one is the big one. The big one is a size 17. Once you get that off, you can hit your 14, and that would be loosen, I believe. We gotta see which way we gotta go with this. One way is gonna be looser, the other way is gonna be tighter. I think we're going the wrong way. We need to tighten this down until this flap no longer flaps around like that. All right, let's take a look and see how tight this is. Look at that. It no longer flaps around. Nice and tight. Now, I don't know if I tightened it up enough, but it's worth a shot. I mean, I'm sitting here waiting for this thing to run its diagnostics anyway, and it takes a while. There's so many systems in this car, even with professional tools. It still takes a while to go through all these systems. I think I've got the ABC figured out, but we'll double check that here in a minute. Right now, let's put this up and let's see if this roof goes up. Please, 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 please. Please work. Come on. Come on. That's not gonna happen. Well, I'll tell you something. Here's what I'm noticing. When you get it open this far, these flaps are supposed to come out. Both of them are supposed to open up and prepare for the roof to go down, and neither one of these are coming out. So here's the other option. The next failure point that has to do with these flaps, and these flaps are what I keep getting a code for, is the motor. The motor that controls the flaps, if I remember correctly, is down here. You've got to take this whole thing off, all of this off, the metal piece down there, it's all got to come off. Then we have to manually energize the flaps using, you know, like a positive and negative wire. One way will open the flaps, reverse the polarity, and it closes the flaps. I probably am not going to get to that today, unfortunately. But why don't we go back and see what the code reader says is wrong with the rest of this car. She's not running good. Okay, number one, we have 3 faults with the engine. So we'll go straight into the engine and we'll see what it's complaining about. Hopefully, if we're lucky, we'll have maybe 3 misfires. We'll know what cylinders they are, and then I can probably just go get the spark plugs. 24 spark plugs, guys. It's over $200 to do a tune-up on this. We have the same before, P2033. We have a new one, a P203F, which is B28/6 pressure sensor upstream of throttle valve. P20A2, which is idle speed control at low stop position. Now that idle speed controller, boy, that will cause a lot of problems. So I'm gonna need to Google all 3 of these, and hopefully we can start eliminating things and getting this part figured out. Next, we have a stored event from the transmission. Oh boy. Yep, a P2315. 1 or more messages from the controller module A1 are unavailable on the CAN bus. CAN timeout fault. Here's another big one. This is a huge one. This is the active body control, the ABC system. Stored a C1525-64, system pressure too low. Now, that would normally scare me, maybe thinking there's a faulty pump, but I'm not worried about this. The car's idle is so erratic, and sometimes the idle drops so low that I would imagine it causes the pump for the ABC system to have low pressure. But here's the one that keeps coming back, the C1129 fault in component B22/6 right rear plunger travel sensor. This is probably the only thing wrong with our ABC system on this car. Next, last but not least, that Vario roof B1265-002 Again, right side flap, closed open limit switch, remains in switched status, contact is stuck or has short circuit to ground. Well, now we got all of our codes and I can start doing some Googling, doing a little bit of researching of my own and trying to figure out what all of this means. We either have, as far as I'm concerned, as far as this roof goes, it's either going to be a bad motor or these do go bad. These little switches, these micro switches do go out, and believe it or not, it's only like 50 bucks for a pair of these switches for each side. Yeah, or for both sides, I'm sorry. 50 bucks should cover doing both sides, so not a big deal if we've got to replace those. That would be nice to have the roof working, and hopefully that will fix it. The plunger on the right back, why don't we get this car in the air? Let's check that plunger, that level sensor, and maybe it just fell off. Probably not that lucky, but maybe it just fell off. Everything else going on with the engine, this is stuff that could be simply a bad sensor or two that needs to be replaced. There's a lot going on here, but I really don't think it's going to take much to put it back together. And let's not forget the squeaking and creaking front left suspension. We're going to get it up in the air. We're going to take a peek at that as well. All right, we're going to start at the back. We're going to work our way forwards. We need to find, there's that level adjuster right there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's attached to this piece right here. So there it is. It may just be this particular sensor has gone bad. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my hand up in here, and she's still hooked up. I was hoping this plunger piece might be disconnected, but it's not. It's definitely connected. Let's look over at the other side, and you have the same one right there, right where my light is. And there is that little plunger right there on the side, just like it is on the other side. Everything looks like it's where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to guess, most likely, that little sensor has gone bad. Not a big deal. Can probably find that on eBay for 20, 30 bucks. Well, just for fun, I threw a little bit of QD electrical cleaner in it. I took the plug off, and a lot of sand came out of it. I don't think that's going to do anything, guys. I'm certain that's going to be something we need to replace, but that's fine. Next, I'm just going to look at the CV axles, the suspension, everything under here. Actually looks to be in really, really, really good shape. Differential, nice and clean. Same thing over here. Everything looks to be in good condition. CV axles as well. No grease leaking. Bushings look good. It looks really, really good under here, guys. It really does. Okay. Here's your flex joint for your drive shaft. It's got some age on it, and it's definitely cracking in a few places, but that's fine. It's still good. Moving down, well, it's getting a little greasy right here. There's the other flex joint. Boy, that's hard to see up there, isn't it? But there it is, and it actually looks to be in pretty good shape itself. Got a little bit of oil leaking from the transmission. It's not pouring onto the ground. There's nothing actively dripping, but it's definitely wet under here. Over here, it gets a tad bit more concerning. It's definitely leaking. Valve cover gaskets, I could tell, are leaking. The starter sits way up there, right there, in the center of your screen where the heat shield is. There's the starter. There's one of your turbochargers. Right there. Other one should be hidden. Well, it's hard to see, but there she is right there. Definitely valve cover gasket leaks going on here, guys. It's even running down the catalytic converter, so that's why I do smell a little bit of oil. Not what I would want to find, but, you know, honestly, it's not the worst. This, however, is far more concerning to me. There is a ball joint that has rust coming out of it. That thing has gotten so hot. So hot. Look at the wheel. Look at the orange on the wheel. That ball joint has gotten really, really hot. So that needs to be replaced. This car is interesting. It has multiple control arms. You have this control arm right here on the lower, but you also have a separate control arm right here on the lower. So you have multiple ball joints. You've got a ball joint right here. You got a ball joint right here. You got a tie rod right here on the knuckle. And that's just the lower side. All right, so definitely need some attention over here. We also have one of the struts is leaking. Not badly, but a leak is a leak, and it's definitely worth noting that there is a leak on the driver's side front strut. The passenger side is not leaking, however. And everything on the passenger side actually looks to be pretty dang good shape. Honestly, it does. Yeah, everything over here looks really, really good. Bushings look good, which explains why we're only getting a creak from that side. Rack and pinion looks good as well. Starting to seep a little bit over here. Either that or that's, look at this right here. We've got a leak right there. Do you see that? It's coming down the side. Interesting. We've got a split motor mount. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that motor mount right there is split. Those are hydraulic motor mounts. Above that, where you see a little bit of oil leaking, above that, that would be your tandem pump. That's going to be the tandem pump for your power steering and your hydraulic suspension. This hydraulic motor mount is still good. This one's still in good shape. It's still nice and pumped up. This one has collapsed. So that motor mount is absolutely bad. The more I go through this, the more I'm... Ooh, she needs a little work, guys. There are liners that's supposed to be under here that are missing. You have your auxiliary, if you don't know what this is. This is your auxiliary water pump. That's right. You have an auxiliary water pump. Just something else to go wrong. Broken inner fender liner, missing pieces under here. Over here, this is very concerning. I think you've got an accumulator over here somewhere for the height. There it is right there. It's dead in the center. You guys won't be able to see it. It's hidden behind all of these hoses, but well, if I could get you there. Dead in the center of your screen is an accumulator for the hydraulic suspension. A lot of hydraulic lines for your suspension run under here, along with air conditioning lines. So this being exposed is probably not the best thing in the world. Well, it's, what do you expect? It's a V12 Mercedes with 100,000 miles on it. Ah, it's doing something new. It's misfiring. Listen. You can hear it. Yep. Check engine light was flashing. Looks like it stopped. Yeah, it stopped, but the check engine light was flashing. Of course, ABC Visit Workshop is back on again. The squeaking, I doused it with WD-40. Oh, wow. There it goes dropping. Okay, well. Wow. Obviously, dousing it in WD-40 did nothing. I think I know what the squeaking is. I do. I think it's the ball joint. In fact, I'm certain that it's the ball joint. I am. That ball joint is so destroyed in there, and it's gotten so hot that now when you turn the wheel, it just squeaks metal on metal inside. There's no grease in that ball joint anymore. That's what it is. She's running like crap, but at least the ride height went back down. And here we go. I told you it was misfiring. Boy, oh boy, we got some new codes now. We got the pressure sensors, coolant temperature sensor. That's a new one. Misfire damages to three-way catalyst PO300. That's going to be a random misfire. Then we have a misfire on cylinder 1, misfire on cylinder 5, misfire on cylinder 3, misfire on cylinder 2. So 1, 2, 3, and 5. That means that on one side of the engine, it was only running on 2 cylinders, 2 and 4. That is very, 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 very concerning. Very concerning. Again, that's the entire right bank, which would all be that one coil. It's looking like we've got a lot of little things here that are starting to add up to some really big numbers. We're gonna try the rodeo again. We'll see if this back corner is willing to work with us or not. Sounds like it's still misfiring. Oh boy. I'm kind of to the point where I'm done for today. Anyway, this has been a day, and I got a feeling this is going to come out to a lot of money. I'm going to have to research how much like an idle air control valve is, and the control arms for that driver's side front, the wheel sensor, the level sensor for the back, the rebuild kit for the flaps. Yeah, and I think we're just getting started. Well, I shut her down and I restarted her, and aside from the squeaking front end, the ABC suspension is functioning again. It goes up and down like it's supposed to, at least for now. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it out for a quick spin. It's not misfiring now, but that's probably going to come back here in a little bit. I'm going to make sure this hood is closed, because I don't think it is. Nope. We'll close that hood. Let me get it off the lift. Let's take it for a quick spin, and then I think I'm going to call this video a wrap. For once, we actually have no malfunctions on the dashboard at all. Nothing. I don't expect that's going to last. Oh, my window switch is missing. It's all right. We'll turn on the air conditioning. I got to get this out of the shop anyway, because it's time for me to film a new video for you guys with another car that I just picked up for super, super cheap, that I just know is going to have something serious wrong with it. Wow, the suspension feels normal. It's not going to last, right? Tell me that spraying out that connector with some electrical cleaner and plugging it back in was not all it took to get my suspension working right. Oh, I'll be so happy. I would be so nice if we fixed something, even just one thing in this video. I would be so happy. Again, I'm not expecting it, but it feels like it's riding at a normal height. My ABC lights are not coming on. Don't get excited. Mercedes don't work that way. European cars don't work that way. You don't get away with just spraying a little something on a connector and everything goes back to normal. And I love the car, I do. Even with the suspension acting all wonky, it still runs and rides like a dream, man. It does. And it shifts great. Definitely down on power, but overall not bad for what I paid for it, guys. Let's put her in the driveway with the other buckets. Yeah, squeak your way right behind the old Range Rover there. I'm going to tell you something. There are still no warning lights on the dash. I'll be... The suspension isn't sitting up 12 inches off the wheels. No way. No way. Could that really have fixed the ABC system? It's nice and level. Look at that. It looks nice sitting that way. Okay, okay. I am going to go by myself. I'm going to take it for a little rip, and I'm going to come back and we'll check it one more time. But before we do, I'm going to try to raise it. Let's see if it raises. There's one. Car is being raised. You can hear it. Okay, number 2. ABC, car is being raised. That's not a warning. It's just letting you know what system is working. It's working. The suspension is working. You gotta be happy for the little victories, guys. The little victories. Let's turn it off. There it goes. I told you when I pulled that connector off from that suspension piece back there, that little level, it was full of sand and dirt. So I just sprayed some cleaner in there, cleaned it all out, and put it back together. What's also interesting is ABC Sport works now. With ABC Sport mode activated, the steering becomes very stiff. And if I push it again and turn it off, the steering lightens up a lot. Feels a lot more comfortable. This is unbelievable. It's never been okay for this long without something going on the dash. Again, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but I'm feeling pretty damn good right now. Guys, she's still doing it to it, man. I am so happy right now. I'm going to find a spot to turn around. I need to get to the house. I need to order some parts. Definitely suspension components are going to be at the top of my priority list. That ball joint is dangerous. Speaking of that ball joint being dangerous, here I am cruising, you know, 60 miles an hour on twisty back roads. But so far, as of this moment, no check engine lights. The car is running perfect. The suspension is working perfectly. And it's these moments that you live for when you own one of these high-performance Mercedes. Trust me, I know. I've had a few of them, guys, and I love the cars. I do, but it's a love-hate relationship. I love them because when they work right, oh man, they are a blast to drive. They are a true joy, and you will fall in love with the experience. The problem is that's usually short-lived. They only run and drive right for a very short period of time before something goes catastrophically wrong and it's going to cost your wallet a ton of money. With that said, there is no ride quite like a properly running, driving, and riding Mercedes. These things are absolutely phenomenal. They are beasts, they are fun, they look good, and best of all, they're cheap until you start factoring in the cost of all the parts you're going to need to bring them back up to snuff. And I'm back after taking her on about a 10-mile ride. Let's check her out. No warning lights, and the car is riding like an absolute dream. Okay, I'm gonna call that, at least for now, a temporary win. Something today went right. We finally got something that wasn't working on the car working properly. You'll also notice I got rid of the V12 badge that was on the back. I gotta maybe pay a little more attention to it, but it actually looks pretty good now without that badge back there. Small wins, guys. You gotta be happy with the small victories, and today we won one. We beat this car when it comes to one item on the long list of things that needs to be addressed. I think that is a perfect ending to today's video. So do me a favor, ladies and gentlemen, hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed today's video, and please consider subscribing to the channel. Definitely drop your comments down below. Until next time, stay safe out there, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon in the next one. And trust me, there's going to be a next one. This car, nowhere near done. This car, we need to get rid of. This car, oh boy, nowhere near done. Range Rover, I don't even want to talk about the Range Rover right now. Yeah, this one, I don't know. And finally, the newest addition to the fleet, a $2,000 2014 Kia Forte EX with 130,000 miles and a clean title that I got from IAA. 2,000 bucks. And it appears to run, and the transmission goes into gear. Seems like there's nothing wrong with it. I'm sure we're going to find out otherwise very soon. Stay tuned. I look forward to bringing you this one, hopefully in one of the next upcoming videos. Is it a huge win for $2 grand? It's an $8,800 car retail. Or is there something very wrong with it? And we're about to find out what it is.